Hi, my name is Morgan Dreamis, and I'm here today with Chris Keeslar. He is the editorial director of Boroughs Publishing, which is a brand new digital publishing house that is coming out. Now, before we talk about what you're going to be doing there, though, I want to actually start back at the beginning. You're a Midwestern boy, steady diet of fantasy novels, all growing up. Graduated from high school, you decided to move to New York, and you were going to be an author.
That's right. Yeah, I actually came to New York, came to NYU, and did the creative writing program there. And then, coming out, I was like, oh, I'm going to be I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to write the great American novel. And who knows, I may still do it.
Right.
We'll see. But yeah, so I got a job in publishing, and basically I went right into Dorchester and spent a long time there. It was a great place to grow up and sort of learn, to learn my chops. Got a bunch of close interactions with people really early on. Great authors, and it was a small house. So it was an easy place to shine, I think. And one of the great things about it, especially back at the beginning, was just how familial it was. It was a great place to grow, I think. And so it was also a great place for us to be able to take chances.
Well, I love how you say, oh, it was a small house, but we're talking, you working with Marjorie M, Victoria Alexander, Lynsay Sands. These are some of the biggest names in romance.
It was a great place to start, and it was a great launch pad for a lot of great authors. I mean, it was their talent that did it. But we did give a lot of chances to people who I think the more traditional houses wouldn't have been ready to take the chance on, So it was a great place to start. And Boroughs ultimately, I think, will be something very similar. That's my intent at any rate. We want to continue to take chances, and the ebook platform is a great place to do that. You can spread your wings, and basically, the story is, the motto is where story matters, and really the story is king. I mean, the important thing is the author's vision. And really helping that grow, and that's something that I'm excited to be back doing again after the last couple of years. It's good to be there.
Well, I've talked to some of your authors that you've edited before, and we're talking Leanna Renee Heber and Marianne Mancusi and Eve Kenyon, some of these authors, and they really do say that you allow them to take that step into kind of the abyss, if you will. And I know your Show Me line, you had an imprint that you really spearheaded, and it was kind of this really dark, kind of post-apocalyptic, and now, you look at the landscape of romance, and it's all about these paranormals, these crazy, the world is coming to an end and everything. And you saw that, and you kind of helped usher that in. Is that the kind of thing at Boroughs that you're looking to do?
I think it's much broader than that at Boroughs currently. I think we are looking for some traditional romance, but certainly my taste skews that way, skews the paranormal and the urban fantasy type stuff. It's very important that, with Boroughs, that we get a happy ever after, and that it fulfills a lot of those traditional aspects. First and foremost, it has to have a happy ever after with a hero and a heroine. Other than that, we really want to give our authors a lot of free reign, because again, it all comes down to their vision. Is it true that I very much love the urban fantasy, the paranormal? Yes, of course. That's, as you said, I'm a Midwestern boy who grew up on a steady diet of fantasy. But the Show Me line really, I think, encapsulated a lot of things that I was excited about at the time. And the whole rise of manga and anime and all that sort of thing, it seemed like a great way to incorporate a lot more mainstream stuff. And as you say, people are definitely taking note of it and have managed to capitalize on it. And we started a whole bunch of great people, as you say. Marjorie was not part of Show Me, but her stuff is along the same lines.
Well, I heard a rumor, Tiger's Eye, which is of course in her Dirk and Steel. Slush pile? You pulled that from...
Yes, it was actually, for all the editors who ever say that you never find anything good in the slush pile, if any of them do. I found some great stuff, and she's, I can't begin to explain the excitement when you find something like that in the slush pile. It's one thing to have someone pitching, an agent calls you up and, I have the best books in sliced bread. And then to just randomly, as you're flipping through your piles, they're falling on you. And
I've been to your office before. I've seen literally the piles.
Well, luckily with digital publishing, it's not quite as crazy anymore because now they're on my computer, so I don't have, it's a little safer.
Well, let's talk about the slush pile for Boroughs. Now let's talk about you. You have been accepting submissions, and you are currently accepting submissions.
That's correct. Yep. Asking for them, in fact.
Asking
yes.
that, yes, absolutely.
Eagerly,
And
yes.
if you go to the Boroughs website, you of course can contact you, can contact the house. What are some of the things coming in that you're really noticing that are getting your attention, and what else are you looking for?
Right now, I think that it's important to not be nailed down to one specific, thing that I'm looking for. I really do want to open the gates and let the author's imagination come in. I mean, one of the things that we're going to be able to do is be a little more nimble than I think a lot of the traditional publishers. So while we say that our traditional lengths are 30 to 40,000 words for a novella, about 70 to 120,000 for a novel, I think we're looking even larger than that, even in word counts. Basically, the best way to handle that is to query us and then let us know what you're trying to do.
In publishing, your entire career, you've really been focused on romance, and that's taken a lot of different forms, whether it be an historical or a vampire novel or a post-apocalyptic novel.
Yeah.
It really is all about the relationship, hero, heroine, finding that happily ever after, and you're continuing that at Boroughs. It is a romance house.
Yes.
What really draws you to the genre, and what makes that your focus?
I think that even when I go back to the things that when I first showed up in publishing, I originally, my boss, Alicia Condon at the time, said, "Do you really want to do romance, really?" Because when I went in, I applied for the job. My predecessor was leaving, and I said, I went in and I said, "I think I can do this job." And she said, "Really? You want to do romance?" And I said, "Yeah." And I think that it's because fantasy is not so far apart from romance in general. The Swords and Sorcery, at the time, it was probably less popular than it is now. But it's about fantasy fulfillment. Fantasy fulfillment, go figure. With the boy, it's growing up to be king and powerful ruler, whatever it may be. And with women, more stereotypically, it has to do with the relationships. And the truth is that I always liked the stories that I loved best were ones that sort of combined those two things, sort of a strong worldview. And again, this comes back to what I'm looking for always, or what I enjoy most, which is this urban fantasy type stuff. But it was always very important. I think I always was a sucker for the romance. I think ultimately that's...
Who isn't?
Yeah,
Who isn't a sucker?
Well, how about fans of Sherlock Holmes?
Well, but
although
even
they would die for it. Yeah,
right,
that's true.
Right.
They would want it. Yeah, that's true. So what's kept me in this genre, I think, is that ultimately, that is what I'm looking for. I'm most interested in characters. I mean, it's important to have the plot and it's important to have the worldview, but if you don't buy the characters and if you don't buy them getting together, and to me, that's one of the most satisfying pieces of fiction. If you don't buy that, then most stories for me are kind of a loss. Yeah, pretty much everything that I have, every favorite book I have has this strong romance going through it. I mean, it's sort of where I landed, and it's something that was ultimately a lot more fulfilling than I thought it would be. I think it just turned out great. And so having success with it and enjoying it, maybe that is the answer. Yeah,
right?
I think that is.
Everything comes together.
It was just this. Yeah, I guess it was not what I expected, but it turned out to be. It turned out to hit all the right points, And so that's why I'm continuing it.
Well, I want to talk about Boroughs a little bit more because I know you've got some really, really great stuff happening. I know newsletter is on the horizon that we can sign up on your website. And also, there's a contest. Can you give us a little bit of a taste of what you're looking for with this contest?
It's actually going to be different, I think, than a lot of things out there. Right now, we're looking for, it's going to be a short story contest because we want to have people engaged with Boroughs without having to make a huge commitment to start with. And we figured this is a great way to give authors, either already established authors or new authors, a way to get sort of publicity for their books. So we're thinking of it as sort of a taste of whatever worlds they're building or whatever characters. And so we'll want people to come check out our website or sign up for the newsletter at Boroughs.
So after working for 16 years at Dorchester Publishing, kind of the next chapter in your career, you decided to go with Boroughs, which is a startup company for digital publishing. And I really have to ask you, because you had a lot of different choices, and I know you had a lot of different choices. You could go with more traditional publishing or even some really exciting cutting edge things, and you decided, no, I want to kind of take more ownership of it, and I kind of you want to build something from the top down, I guess.
That's
Can you tell
exactly
me,
right.
what about Boroughs in particular did you say, that's what I want to do, that's the company I'm going after?
Well, it was really a lot of freedom, I have to say. I mean, that the ability to come in and build from the top down to the bottom up, or from the sides inward, that was really one of the biggest things that drew me. When the owner came and recruited me and talked to me, it was really a thing where I talked to a lot of other people, and they all have their own visions, and I feel like this is a great place to go and establish really a house where it really is the author's vision. I feel like that's the way that, I mean, that's always what drove me my editorial process, to get a sense of what an author's trying to do. Then build a house around that. And really it's supposed to be a house, really what the intent is it's going to be a house where we sort of all work together and build as one. Yeah, right now it's mostly a small group of exciting new people who are coming out. And again, I think that's where a lot of the momentum of this house is going to come from, debuts. I mean, that's something that I have a lot of, although I have experience with established writers, one of my true loves is really building new people and giving them a chance to really do what they want to do.
And I think the digital format really allows you to do that. You can take those chances.
Perfectly, exactly. And that's, again, a reason why I came to Boroughs, is that it really is the place to be if you want to be limber, if you want to be able to maneuver. And so, yeah, print publishing, it's a crazy world right now, just in publishing in general. It's, in some ways I thought it was terrifying as it moved toward, as things progressed, just because it's so difficult to get a bead on everything. But when I stepped back, I started thinking, it's this old Chinese proverb thing, crisis is opportunity, and all that. It's true, I think. I mean, it breaks down those barriers and makes you think, oh, really, how can this be done better? I mean, there were so many stupid things about traditional publishing, things that, ways in which traditional publishing is entrenched in outdated, models. And so it's a nice way to get away from that. And when you get away from that, you get away from all the other restrictions that come along with it. So, yeah, it's a great place to be. It's exciting.
Okay, so if you are an author or an aspiring author, definitely go to the Boroughs website to see how you could submit. And if you're a reader, books already up on the site that you can check out. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.